A single artifact has forced scholars to rewrite the story we thought we knew, and the list ends with a discovery most people never imagined. Stay until number 1. Unearthed in northern Israel, the Tel Dan Stele bears the first extra-biblical mention of the House of David, a phrase that some scholars argue reshapes the historicity of the biblical monarchy. Carved in Aramaic around the 9th century BCE, the fragmentary text celebrates a victory over neighboring kingdoms and includes the contested reference. While many accept it as proof that a Davidic dynasty existed, others caution that the phrase could be a later editorial addition. The find ignited debates over how much archaeological evidence aligns with biblical narratives versus literary constructs. As we move forward, the next artifact, an inscription bearing a Roman governor's name, continues the conversation about historical overlap.
Consider the limestone slab discovered in Caesarea Maritima that bears the name of Pontius Pilate, the Roman prefect traditionally linked to the crucifixion. Dated to the early 1st century CE, the inscription reads Pontius Pilatus, and provides the first non-biblical attestation of his existence. Some historians view this as confirmation of New Testament accounts, while others argue that the fragment merely records an administrative official without confirming the gospel narratives. The stone's provenance and the context of its find have been scrutinized, yet the consensus remains that it validates the historical presence of a Pilate governing Judea. Next up, a bone box bearing a high priest's name adds another layer to the discussion about personal identities in the period.
Remarkably, the limestone ossuary discovered in a Jerusalem burial cave bears the inscription Yehonatan bar Yehoseph, son of Caiaphas, linking it to the high priest who presided over Jesus' trial according to the Gospels. Dated to the early 1st century CE, the artifact sparked intense scholarly debate regarding its authenticity and the implications for New Testament chronology. Proponents argue that the ossuary provides tangible evidence of Caiaphas' family, while skeptics point to the possibility of modern forgery techniques. Scientific analyses, including petrographic studies and patina examinations, have produced mixed results, leaving the ossuary's status unresolved. Nonetheless, its discovery fuels ongoing conversations about how personal artifacts intersect with biblical accounts. Coming up, an enigmatic Greek inscription from Nazareth raises fresh questions about early Jewish burial customs.
Surprisingly, a marble slab unearthed near Nazareth bears a Greek inscription warning against disturbing tombs, likely issued by an imperial authority after a high-profile burial controversy. Scholars date the decree to the early 2nd century CE, interpreting it as a response to rumors that Jesus' body was moved, a claim some early Christian writers hinted at. The text does not name Jesus, yet its existence suggests that Roman officials felt compelled to curb grave robbery rumors, indirectly acknowledging the social impact of such narratives. While some argue the inscription reflects a broader concern over tomb disturbances, others see it as indirect evidence of early Christian belief in resurrection. The next find, an ossuary bearing a controversial name, pushes the debate even further into the realm of contested authenticity.
Few people know that the limestone box labeled James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus, ignited one of the most heated controversies in biblical archaeology. Reportedly dating to the early 1st century CE, the ossuary's inscription aligns with New Testament references to James, a key early Christian figure. Scientific examinations have oscillated between confirming the patina's age and suggesting modern tampering, leading to protracted legal battles. While some experts maintain the inscription is authentic, others argue that the box could be a sophisticated forgery designed to attract attention. Regardless of its ultimate status, the James Ossuary illustrates how a single artifact can polarize scholarly opinion and influence public perception of biblical history. Up next, we delve into a collection of scrolls that reshaped our understanding of Second Temple Judaism.
Hidden in the arid caves of Qumran, the Dead Sea Scrolls comprise over 900 manuscripts dating from the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE, including biblical texts, sectarian writings, and apocryphal works. Their discovery in the mid-20th century provided scholars with the earliest known copies of many Old Testament books, revealing textual variations that challenge the notion of a monolithic biblical canon. Some scrolls, such as the Community Rule, suggest the existence of a distinct Jewish group with beliefs that echo early Christian ideas, prompting debates about the origins of Christian theology. While the scrolls confirm that multiple scriptural traditions coexisted, they also underscore the fluidity of religious texts before the canon solidified. Following this, we examine a mysterious copper scroll that lists hidden treasures, further complicating our picture of ancient Judean practices.
Deep beneath the cliffs near Qumran, a copper scroll was found etched with a list of 64 locations purportedly holding vast caches of gold, silver, and sacred objects. Unlike the parchment scrolls, this artifact is a literal inventory, written in a cryptic script that scholars are still deciphering. Some researchers propose that the listed treasures were temple valuables hidden before the Roman destruction of Jerusalem in 70 CE, while others argue the scroll reflects a mythic or symbolic tradition rather than an actual hoard. The lack of corroborating archaeological evidence at many of the named sites adds to the mystery, leaving the copper scroll as a tantalizing puzzle that challenges assumptions about the material wealth of Second Temple Judaism. Next, we travel to a fortified hilltop that may rewrite the timeline of Judahite urban development.
Archaeologists uncovered a massive fortified settlement at Khirbet, Qeiyafa, dated to the early 10th century BCE, which aligns with the period traditionally associated with King David's reign. The site features a sophisticated city wall, a gate complex, and a possible administrative building, suggesting a level of urban planning previously thought exclusive to later Iron Age kingdoms. Some scholars argue that such an advanced settlement supports the existence of a centralized Judahite state during David's era, while others caution that the dating remains contested and that the architecture could belong to a neighboring culture. The find also includes inscriptions in early Hebrew script, offering rare insight into literacy at the time. As we descend the list, we encounter an early Christian house church that reshapes our view of early worship practices.
Recent excavations at Dura, Europos, a 3rd century CE Syrian settlement, revealed a house church featuring the earliest known Christian frescoes depicting biblical scenes, including a crucifixion. The building, originally a domestic dwelling, was repurposed for worship, illustrating how early Christians gathered in private homes before constructing dedicated basilicas. The frescoes display iconography that differs from later standardized depictions, suggesting a fluidity in early Christian artistic expression. Moreover, the presence of a Christian community in a remote frontier city challenges the assumption that early Christianity was confined to Judea and major urban centers. This discovery underscores the diversity of early Christian practice across the Roman Empire. Finally, we arrive at the most provocative find, a tomb that continues to spark debate over its occupants and its impact on biblical interpretation.
Finally, the Talpiot Tomb, uncovered in a Jerusalem suburb, contains 6 ossuaries bearing names such as Jesus son of Joseph, Mary, and Mariamne, which correspond to figures from the New Testament. Radiocarbon dating places the burial around the early 1st century CE, aligning temporally with the period of Jesus' life. While some argue that the combination of names, each common in that era, could be coincidental, others contend that the clustering of these specific names suggests a family link to the biblical narrative. The tomb's existence fuels ongoing debates about the historicity of Jesus and his family, prompting scholars to re-evaluate archaeological criteria for identifying biblical individuals. Whether authentic or a remarkable coincidence, the Talpiot Tomb stands as the most contentious artifact on our list, compelling us to reconsider how material evidence intersects with ancient texts.
We've traveled from modest inscriptions to the most contentious tombs, each find nudging the boundaries of what we accept as biblical history. The evidence shows that ancient texts and material culture often speak in surprising, sometimes contradictory, tones. If you enjoyed this evidence-driven journey, subscribe now so you won't miss the next deep dive into history's hidden layers. New mind-blowing lists arrive every week. Which discovery altered your view of the biblical narrative the most? Share your thoughts below, and if this video sparked your curiosity, give it a like. Your engagement keeps these investigations alive.